enterprises across a number of sectors, which include but are not limited to procurement of capital equipment for the growing mining sector in India, provision of health insurance in the financial services sector, sizable investment in the state-of-the-art biotechno facilities at the Dubai Trade Port SEZ to the pharmaceutical or health sector, infrastructure cooperation in the water treatment and the railway sector, as well as the production of defense system. I would like to point out that these MOUs are remarkable in that, firstly, there is a broad alignment with our country's industrialization agenda through the value-added nature of the goods that will be produced. Secondly, we welcome the fact that outside the productive capacity that is embedded in this trade and investment MOUs, technology transfer has also been considered. As I conclude my introductory remark, I would like to urge South African and Indian business to continuously expand cooperation in major projects both here in India and also on the African continent at large to optimize our capabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I would like to call upon to the podium the co-chairs of the CEO's Forum to provide a brief report on their deliberation from the CEO's Forum. The forum aims to strengthen economic ties between the business communities of the two countries through regular interaction of its members and continuous dialogue with government. The two co-chairs represent organized business in our respective countries. On the other part, South Africa Business Unity, South Africa BUSA, and the Black Business Council, BBC, represent South Africa's interest. India's business community interests are considered under the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, and is informed by their governments. I now take this opportunity, Your Excellency President, to invite Mr. Reddy and Mr. Kushai to provide a brief report to yourself, Your Excellencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. His Excellency the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, His Excellency the President of South Africa, Mr. Jacob Zuma, all ministers present and ambassadors and consul generals, and all protocols observed, and a special welcome to my co-chairperson, Mr. Adi Goodrich. And I think this morning when we had a meeting and we talked, and Ms. Goodrich is one of the richest 200 people in the world, and that's when I realized just how poor I am. Your Excellencies, it is no secret that the Indian diaspora enjoys a pretty successful and enviable reputation throughout the world. The CEO Forum strongly believes that we have not yet optimized on the political collective might and collaborative impact that could be spawned out of the South African business partnership with India and vice versa. The statistics show that the value of our bilateral trade last year was in the order of 94 billion. I want to submit that we are actually missing the one before the 94. And it is going to be this CEO's Forum that's going to play a crucial role in improving the trade between our countries. This potential powerhouse that is being kept at bay is what has been reignited the resolve and determination of the captains of industry on both our subcontinents to re-energize the CEO's Forum, which was originally spearheaded by business icons, Mr. Ratan Tata and Patrice Motsepe. This morning we had some of the finest minds from India and South Africa discussing issues, and I'm very, very heartened that this is going to bear fruit and is going to be very beneficial for both our wonderful countries. From the India perspective, the immense advantage of collaboration and partnerships in South Africa is effectively a partnership with sub-Saharan Africa. With Africa's greatest maritime port, the city of Durban, the first world industrial and manufacturing hub to span the growth and breadth of our country, South Africa provides a more stable, viable, and safest base from which to launch into Africa. And this morning we discussed, my colleague, Mr. Goodrich, is going to talk about the other issues, but to the agenda, we talked about the fact, the importance of having our own rating agency, the BRICS rating agency, just to address some imbalances that are currently in place. We also, Mr. President, talked about the Zimbabwe issue, and I assured my fellow Indian business colleagues that President Zuma is a known negotiator. His history speaks volumes of what he did in Burundi, and Mr. President, we know that you will resolve that impasse very soon, and Indian manufacturers, I don't think you have to be concerned too much about this. We also added the issue of education and medical college. You know, our President Zuma believes that education is an inoculation against poverty, and is very passionate about education, and I think with India's history and success in education, we would actually bring in great value to South Africa, and especially with distance education. We also talked to our Indian colleagues the issue of black economic empowerment and the role of the Black Business Council in spearheading black economic empowerment in this country. Not only does the South African collaboration provide an opportunity of optimizing on the trailblazing innovations from India and creating profit potential for companies in both regions, but it also presents the opportunity for some businesses to cross-pollinate with considerable technological advances in critical sectors that benefit India. From South Africa's perspective, the partnership with Indian business would effectively inject an ethos and blueprint that could transform our state approach to upstream and downstream beneficiation of raw materials that proliferate the entire country. We are a region bursting with critical raw material resources that are the lifeblood of every hue and shape of industry throughout the world. We do not believe that we have adequately optimized on the technological resources and innovations that have emerged from India and are using these to create and permeate new markets, innovative solutions, and expanded technological excellence. There is a major opportunity for large companies from India to collaborate with South African companies and to make its combined entry into the South African market. It's often a lot easier to succeed or indeed to enter the African market through collaboration and partnerships with South African companies, as this is invariably given greater credibility as well as political acceptability with Africa. We should also not discount the other major advantages that industrial operations set up in South Africa enjoy in terms of international treaties, such as the African Growth and Opportunity Act, the AGOA, which allows South Africa to produce goods in the USA with no duties payable. In conclusion, President, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm of the firm belief that the CEO's Forum that has once again taken firm root should be the midwife to greater and potentially more powerful international entities through the India-South African partnership. It is a fact that Africa is regarded as the last major continental market that presents an alternative to saturated markets. It is equally true that South Africa is almost pivotal in the actualization of this potential in terms of its unique location, abundance of strategic raw materials, and technological prowess. And Mr. President Zuma and the Honorable Prime Minister, we as a business CEOs, both Mr. Aldrich and myself, are committing to you that this CEOs Forum is going to work. We have already set up our next meeting on the fringes of the BRICS conference in October, and a minimum of twice, and we are also going to have full-time people in our offices to ensure that we help to increase the trade between India and Africa. Honorable Prime Minister, the entire international world has been inspired by what you had remarkably achieved when you almost personally grew the state of Gujarat into an economic powerhouse. While there have been challenges, you have unrelentingly continued with this resolve to further catapult Greater India in international industrial and commercial supremacy. Your inspiration and proven recipe for success has thus urged us all to commit ourselves unreservedly and passionately to this noble and supremely beneficial potential that is waiting to be unleashed between our two countries. Ladies and gentlemen, India and South Africa is reopened for business. Thank you.
Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Honorable President Jacob Zuma, Mr. Minister, Mr. Vivian Reddy, ladies and gentlemen. We have just concluded, as Mr. Reddy explained, a very productive meeting of the India-South Africa CEOs Forum. This forum was convened after a gap of 5 years. Since then, a lot has changed in India. I am happy to report that after being apprised of the changes that have taken place in India, we find a renewed sense of optimism. The forum members greatly appreciated the deep reforms the Indian government has carried out in many sectors over the last 2 years, and the fact that thanks to these measures, India now is the fastest growing major economy in the world. Special mention was made of the measures taken to make doing business in India much easier. Both South African and Indian CEOs who participated at the meeting have decided to revisit their mutual investment plans and have decided to ramp these up further. The forum discussed 6 key sectors of bilateral cooperation. These included financial services, pharmaceutical and healthcare, mining, manufacturing, infrastructure, energy, and education. With your permission, I would like to highlight a few key recommendations. In the financial services sector, it was suggested that the 2 countries could seek to collaborate in fintech space. In addition, the banks of the 2 sides could also jointly explore opportunities in the African space. In terms of mining, it was suggested that Indian companies could acquire mining assets in South Africa, as well as to set up long-term supply agreements for molybdenum, manganese, and rare metals such as vanadium, in line with the growing demands of the Indian metals industry. Deep mining is an important area of collaboration between India and South Africa. Cooperation in this regard is underway in the Indian market. South African companies must further look at the opportunities in the deep mining sector in India. In the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry, the 2 countries could look at skill building in terms of training of nurses and other medical personnel, sourcing of pharmaceutical products from India, among others. In the manufacturing space, it was suggested that the 2 countries could collaborate in sectors such as food processing, textiles, and chemicals. In terms of energy and infrastructure, it was felt that the 2 countries would stand to benefit while collaborating in renewable energy and infrastructure finance, among others. In addition, South African companies could also look at investing in the wind energy space in India. In the education sector, India and South Africa can work together in the fields of pharmaceutical education, exchange of doctors for internship, training and capacity building of nurses, as well as training of medical technicians. We look forward to working with the governments of both countries to ease the process of doing business with each other. I'm also pleased to inform you that there has been an exchange of 8 MOUs today. These include MOUs signed between Hindustan Zinc Limited and Minova Africa, Hindustan Zinc and Fermel, MMI Holdings and Aditya Birla Nuvo Limited Group, Iron Exchange, Safic, and Stephanotti Stocks. SAAB, Greentech Defense, and Tata Power, Pioneer Global Enterprises, and Armsco, the Indian School of Business and Gordon Institute of Business Science, CIPLA, and Dubai Tradeport Corporation. Clearly, these MOU signal cooperation in critical sectors such as mining, mining equipment, financial services, defense, water, infrastructure, and healthcare, among others. These MOUs will be an important step in strengthening bilateral cooperation between India and South Africa. We also discussed the possibility of small-scale industries in both the countries cooperating with each other in the future. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Once more, Your Excellencies, let's give a round of applause to the two representatives of the CEOs Forum for the good report that they've given us. Your Excellencies, it's now my honor to request our President, President Zuma, to come and address us after receiving the reports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, Director of the program. I thought we were doing it better. I thank you for the opportunity. Your Excellency, Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, ministers in attendance, South African and Indian business delegates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste. It gives me a great pleasure to address this august occasion that further marks the advancement of relations between South Africa and India. Our two countries enjoy deep ties dating back to many years. We pride ourselves for having hosted Mahatma Gandhi, whose political consciousness was largely forged here in South Africa. The friendship of the Indian people was ably demonstrated during our struggle against apartheid, where they stood shoulder to shoulder with us. Let me once again take this opportunity to express a word of gratitude on behalf of our government and the people of South Africa to the people of India and many friends in the international community who played a critical role in the liberation of South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa and India face the common challenge of turning the legacy of underdevelopment and poverty into sustained economic growth and socio-economic improvement. We have to do this in a world in which economic power is still very much unbalanced between developed and developing countries. Our engagement through forums of this nature reflects our common destination to take our destiny into our own hands. Our two countries hold enormous trade and investment potential that needs to be unleashed through closer strategic cooperation. The South Africa-India Business Forum will serve as a platform to achieving our goals. We need to explore ways and means of continuing, increasing, and diversifying our trade and investment initiatives in the respective economies. Our countries are major players in the global economy and share a common vision of shaping the development agenda through IPSA, BRICS, and other related platforms. In this vein, we have set ourselves ambitious goals, including a bilateral target of advancing trade to the level of $18 billion by 2018. Achieving this target will require an increase in private sector deliberations, as well as government focusing on the resolution of barriers that are impeding the expansion of trade, amongst others. The government of South Africa continues to play its part in advancing our socio-economic blueprint, the National Development Plan. The National Development Plan provides for a coherent and pragmatic framework for the transformation of our economy. Through the National Development Plan, we aim to boost economic growth, especially through improving the education system and through skills development. We are also aiming to improve our performance in productive sectors of the economy, such as manufacturing. The National Development Plan is complemented by the 9-point plan for reigniting economic growth, which focuses on areas such as growing the oceans economy through Operation Pakisa, support for SMMEs, building the agriculture and agro-processing value chain, and encouraging private sector investment. To attract further investment in value-added manufacturing sectors in close proximity to the source of raw materials, South Africa has established special economic zones which offer unparalleled opportunities for Indian investment. A number of these SEZs have been established across the country in various provinces, and they are complemented by a range of new support measures over and above the measures provided for in generic investment. Coupled with these is the development of an urgent plan to increase the level of beneficiation in the following areas: iron ore and steel, platinum group metals, polymers, titaniums, upstream mining inputs, and the energy value chain. Ladies and gentlemen, these areas offer numerous opportunities for synergies and complementarities between our two countries, and I encourage you to optimize on the possibilities that exist. Furthermore, the development of trade and industry has recently launched our 8th Industrial Policy Action Plan, which is a significant step towards strengthening our efforts to promote long-term industrialization and diversification beyond traditional commodities. It is in this vein that I invite Indian companies to partner with us in advancing our investment initiatives across a number of sectors that offer high employment and growth that we need. Within this context, we recognize the level of Indian investment in the South African economy, which amount to a capital expenditure of 62 billion rand. South African investment into India has been growing steadily with investments in financial services, agro-processing, hospitality, and ICT. We, however, need to explore measures for increased investment in a manner that will allow for enhanced trade in respective countries. Distinguished guests, as of 2015, our level of bilateral trade stood at 94 billion rand, and we have not reached our target of 150 billion rand of 2010 as set in New Delhi during my visit. And as such, we have to intensify our efforts and enhance value-added exports. These efforts should also consider us partnering with regards to the vast opportunities that the African continent has to offer. Africa is generally regarded as the second fastest growing region in the world, with a population of around 1 billion people. According to the 2015 World Bank report, 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies globally in 2014 emanated from Africa, while the African continent became the second most attractive investment destination in the world, ranking just behind North America. Looking ahead, a McKinsey report estimates that by 2020, the continent is projected to have a collective GDP of US dollars of 2.6 trillion, over 200 million consumers, and a working age population of 1.1 billion. In support of these indicators and working towards an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, African countries in 2015 adopted the Agenda 2063 Continental Plan for the next 50 years to ensure transformation and sustainable development, a key priority that has been identified is market integration, represented by initiatives such as the tripartite free trade area and the continental free trade area. The continental free trade area will see an integrated market of 1 billion people. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, these commitments present us with numerous opportunities for cooperation in critical sectors that will drive Africa's industrialization and create so much needed jobs as well as intellectual capital. It is within this context that I encourage cooperation between South African and Indian business for mutual benefit. My government will consider appropriate instruments in advancing this initiative, including the envisaged launch of the South Africa-India Joint Trade Committee. Beyond bilateral cooperation, our partnership extends to the BRICS and IPSA fora. In this context, active processes and underway to facilitate and implement plans on expanded trade and investment flows and to identify and address barriers to trade and investment, among others. A particular area of interest is the new development bank, which is operational and has already approved its first tranche of projects in each of the member states of BRICS. In this vein, we look forward to India hosting the 8th BRICS Summit, which amongst others will include ministerial interactions, the meetings of the BRICS Business Council, and the hosting of the first BRICS trade. It is clear that we have various areas in which we are cooperating on, and there are substantial and concrete opportunities that we can develop further. We wish the Business Forum well. You have an enormous responsibility to put all the ideas into action and help us achieve our goals with regards to expanded trade relations. Shukriya. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause to welcome the input by His Excellency President Zuma. Your Excellency President, it's now my honor to request His Excellency, our Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, to come and make his remarks to this South Africa-India Business Forum. Thank you.
His Excellency, Mr. Jacob Zuma, President of the Republic of South Africa, honorable ministers, captains of South African and Indian industry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be with you today. India-South Africa relations are built on a strong foundation of history. We were directed together by destiny. We are driven together by dreams. Our history had many common chapters. We struggle and sacrifice. We change the course of history. Fortunately, in this process, we had the guidance of the greatest leaders which the human race has seen. Friends, our leaders like Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi brought political freedom for us. Now, it is the time to work for economic freedom. Thus, our relations rest upon our common desire to fulfill the aspirations of our people. We have been friends in adversaries. Now, we should franchise in opportunities. With the blessings of our great leaders, both the countries have marched on the path of development. Both South Africa and India are important players in the BRICS economics. Our people at home and the world at large are looking at us with great expectations. We can join hands to fulfill those twin expectations. It is heartening that we have had very active and fruitful engagement on all possible fronts. This August gathering is also an important part of the same process. Friends, I admit that I am little late in visiting this great country. However, President Zuma and I have met several times in last 2 years. South Africa is India's key trade and investment partner. In the last 10 years, bilateral trade has grown almost 380%. The story of investments also continues to be bright. There is continuous flow of investments both ways. More than 150 Indian companies are operating in South Africa. Similarly, many companies of South Africa are doing excellent work in India. However, the scope is tremendous. The potential is increasing day by day. This is because both countries are strengthening their economic fundamentals. Therefore, we must look at ways to diversify our trade basket to complement our needs and serve to our people. Our active partnership across various facets and forums is a testimony to the fact that such engagement is possible. Friends, for Indian companies, South Africa is a home in this continent. Many leading Indian companies have a footprint here. They are engaged in a wide range of activities. Many Indian CEOs are here with us. My advice to them is to see that their business results into socio-economic transformation of this great country. I have been advocating three P's for India: public sector, private sector, and people's partnership. I have been emphasizing on the personal sector. The same applies here. Skill development and community empowerment should be central to your business plans. The spirit of African humanism, Ubuntu, should reflect in your business ethos. This is equal to our philosophy of Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. This is what Mahatma Gandhi stood for. We have always believed in nurturing and nourishing, not in exploiting. Encouraging fact is that our business engagement is not one way. South African companies are also active in India. Many of them have presence on ground. We have learned from your knowledge and benefited from your innovative products. South African business excellence and Indian capacities must leverage each other for growth and development in our two countries. Friends, in last 2 years, we have worked very hard on all fronts to see the economy right. We have got very encouraging results of our sincerity and hard work. Today, India is a bright star in the global economy. We are being seen as the engine of global growth. India has become the fastest growing large economy in the world. At a time of global slowdown, we have registered 7.6% growth on GDP. World Bank, IMF, and other institutions have projected even better growth in coming days. Not only that, in 2014-15, India contributed 12.5% of global growth. Its contribution to global growth is 68% higher than its share of the world economy. The FDI in this year has been the highest ever. The ratings agencies, Moody's, had said that FDI inflows were all-time high in 2016, highlighting the success of our Make in India initiative. Make in India has become the biggest brand that India has ever had. Both within and outside the country, it has captured the imagination of the people, institutions, industry, businesses, media, and the political leadership. As part of the Make in India exercise, we have given emphasis on ease of doing business. We have taken decisive steps to ease the licensing processes and rationalize the provisions relating to clearances, returns, and inspections. If I talk of some other indicators, India has consistently been ranked as the most attractive investment destination by several global agencies and institutions. We have jumped 12 ranks in the latest global ranking by the World Bank and ease of doing business. India has also improved in UNCTAD ranking of investment attractiveness. Against 15th so far, now we are at 9th place. India has also jumped 16 places on the World Economic Forum's Global Competitive Index. Due to positive impact of our policies and practices, our confidence has grown up. This also gives us motivation to further simplify our processes to become an easier place to do business. An innovative Startup India program has also been launched to incubate ideas and develop them into enterprises. All this is having a good impact on expansion of job market and rise in purchasing power of the people. This finally leads to India becoming a place with a better quality of life and higher living standards. We have ensured that our growth is inclusive and embraces both rural and urban communities. We are taking a leap towards next generation infrastructure in both core areas and social sectors. Friends, socio-economic challenges of both our countries are more or less same. My advice is that the wheels of development should not be reinvented. Our two countries are very uniquely positioned to complement each other. For example, nature has been kind on both of us. We have immense natural resources. The need is to properly harness them and to use them sustainably for welfare of the common man. We can learn a lot from each other in this area. We particularly want to engage with your world-class mining companies. Some of them are already active in India, but we want to strategic engagements on this front. Our interest in this sector is not one-sided. Secondly, the challenge of climate change and the need of fast-track development is before both of us. We are both committed to clean and green pathways to progress. At the same time, we need energy resources. With the help of a number of countries, we have formed the International Solar Alliance. I hope that we will enrich and take advantage of this forum. Our two countries have the unique benefit of opposite seasons. When it is summer or mango season in India, it is winter here and vice versa. We can leverage the geographic advantage to market each other's fruits, vegetables, and other perishable. India, with its huge domestic market, offers massive opportunities for your food processing industry. Our collaboration in this sector will bring value for our farmer and our villages. We in India are working on very ambitious plan of infrastructure. The task which is pending from the days of independence has to be completed fast now. Together, we can do a lot to fill these gaps. India is best suited to help you in technology and skills. Efforts are already underway in these areas. At the India-Africa Forum Summit held in New Delhi last year, we undertook to educate and train 50,000 Africans in India over the next 5 years. These are just a few examples. We can work together in a number of areas, from defense to dairy, from hardware to software, from medicine to medical tourism, from soft skills to science and technology. There are opportunities for us. India today is among the most open economies. We have liberalized our FDI regime in most of the areas and in all possible ways. We have rationalized our norms and made it simple for business to establish and grow. Friends, to conclude, I would like to say that we have added institutional depth to our partnership. Our BRICS business engagement and CEOs forum have helped to expand and enrich our partnership. Today, we have successfully held the third meeting of the India-South Africa CEOs Forum. We value your recommendations and look forward to putting them into practice. We are thankful to the South African government for introducing 10-year BRICS visa for regular business travelers. The Indian industry is quite encouraged by the move. In February this year, we launched our e-visa program for South Africa. This is valid for short-term tourists and business travelers. You can now get your visa for India sitting at home in your email, and that too free of cost. Friends, let us join hands once more. Let us commit ourselves together once again. This is necessary to fight the enemy of poverty. This is perhaps much more challenging, but we have to succeed, and this only can be our real tribute to our great leaders. Thank you very much.